Hello, witches! Tiffany here on another episode of Bewitching.Bemused. Today we are going to, I'm going to give you ways that you can thoroughly cleanse your house or living space and also how to protect it. If this is the sort of pagan and or witchy information that you're looking for, please hit that subscribe button because there's more where this came from. This video was recommended by one of our fellow witches, which I'm really worried I'm gonna mispronounce your name, so I'm sorry in advance. Maria Constanza Pavez Arriagada. Please correct me if I got that wrong at all. I really hope I got it right. Thank you so much, Maria. This was a great suggestion. It was something that, like, you know, I was planning on getting to at some point in the future, so this kind of gave me the boost to, like, let's do this. Now, I'm gonna give you a really long, thorough list of instructions. And keep in mind, this is if you wanna do like a super thorough, I recommend you do this every 6 months to a year, the whole list top to bottom. But most of these are things that you can just do like one at a time on a regular basis to keep negative energy out of your house, get rid of any negative energy that's in the house or in your dorm room, your apartment, your bedroom. And it's good to just like do a couple of these if maybe you just had an argument with somebody, or you've got a roommate who came home in a really bad mood, you had a really horrifying dream or nightmare, you know, stuff like that is just a good time to do a couple cleanses, or if things just feel a little off, or as just regular maintenance. The whole detailed list of things to do top to bottom is great whenever you're moving into a new place, if you had a particularly negative roommate move out, or like I said, just do it, you know, once a year or once every 6 months. You don't have to do this. I just don't want you to feel like you have to do this like every week because it can be time consuming. I mean, if you've got the time and energy to do it, you go right on ahead. I know I'm not, I like to keep my place clean, but if a little dust collects every now and again, I'm okay with it. Now, another thing to keep in mind is that you want to do each and every one of these things with intention. So if you are sweeping the kitchen, you don't want to just be like looking at the breadcrumbs, like sweeping it up. You want to visualize what the bad energy in your home looks like. It might even have different appearances for you and your specific visualization depending on the room and what's happened in that room, who's been in that room. And make sure to visualize you are like sweeping up all this crap. All right, so here we go, let's get started. The first thing you want to do is walk around the house and open up all of your windows. Now, if it's raining outside, you don't need to like blast it wide open, let all that rain in, but just a crack. First of all, you're gonna let fresh air in, which is always good. And second of all, everything that you're trying to like scoop out of the house has a means of escape. Step 2, do a full cleaning of the house. And I mean dusting, sweeping, vacuuming, mopping. Wipe down countertops, wipe down mirrors. It's very important that you keep your mirrors clean. And look at those little areas that we normally miss, like baseboards, crowning around the ceiling, windowsills, the little like corners of your window panes. And a really easy cleaning solution that you can use on pretty much every surface is going to be half water, half white vinegar, and then you can add essential oils to keep it smelling nice. And you can also throw in a splash of, you know, moon water or new moon water, just a little something to add a little like oomph. Now that's the part that's probably going to take the most amount of time, but keep in mind, like if you keep your house pretty clean, you don't have to do, you know, like I said, floor to ceiling, scrubbing everything down every time you're gonna do a full cleanse. Step 3, get rid of any clutter, anything that's been kind of building up, like things that just, you need to find a home for things. On top of that, get rid of anything that, you know, I've got a box in my closet that's just full of stuff I keep meaning to take to the thrift store and I just haven't done it yet and it's like bugging me and I need to just take it out. So stuff like that, you gotta get moving, unlike me, and get it out of the house, get rid of it. If it's stuff you're gonna keep, find a home for it, put it in storage, and also repair anything that's broken. Negative energy likes to find those spots in our homes where it's like a pile of laundry that sits in your corner and it will just like hang out in there. It becomes like a little rat's nest. And especially if you've got stuff in your home that is bugging you, like if you've got a box of your ex-girlfriend or ex-boyfriend's belongings that they left over at your place and it's just been sitting there for months because I'm so busy, I can't come by and pick it up. Like, just do them and yourself a favor and like leave it on your porch, shoot them that final text of your shit is on my porch, and just leave it be. And if it's not gone in a few days, just like throw it away. Step 4, I want you to sweep it out. Now, I know if you did the full top to bottom house cleaning, you probably already did your sweeping, but this is ritual sweeping. If you have a besom, great. If you don't, a regular broom or hand brush will work just fine as well. And for this, you want the floors to already be clean, right? Because we're not looking at sweeping up the dirt, we're visualizing sweeping up the energy. You're gonna sweep, 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 and aim all of that towards any doors or windows that you have open for the cleansing process. Now, you're not just going to do this on hardwood or linoleum or tile floors, you're also going to do it right over your carpets. Step 5, rearrange some of your stuff. Now, you don't have to go through every room and put together a whole new furniture layout. That's not what I mean. If you want to, I know for me, I have a lot of fun when I do that sort of thing, but if I did it like on a monthly basis, my boyfriend would lose his mind. So what you could do for this is, like, maybe if I have this hung here and I've got another picture over here, I could just swap the two out if it fits, or take a rug and spin it around, you know, so it's facing a different way. Take the small spoons and swap them out with the big spoons, and same with the forks. Same thing as the rug, move the coffee table around, you know, so it's still horizontal the way that you want it, like the way that you want it, but you're switching it up a bit. Or flip your mattress over. That's actually a really good thing to do. Like, if you don't have the pillow top mattress, it's a great thing to do regularly anyway to avoid getting dense. But these are just things that kind of shake everything up in the room. It takes all that energy that's in the room and just like raises it basically. So now you can scoot it out. It's not just nesting. Okay, and then the final step, step 6, before you move on to the actual protection of your home, is going to be your ritual cleaning. Now, technically, since all of these you've already been doing with intention, those were also ritual cleaning, but I mean, you know what I mean by this. This is the stuff where we get really witchy with it. So you have your most common type of ritual cleansing, and that is using smoke. So I'm gonna go off on a little side tangent. Most people will refer to this as smudging. However, the two terms cleansing and smudging are not interchangeable. You have to keep in mind that smudging is actually a Native American practice, and Native American cultures and Native American religions are closed religions, meaning that you need to be born into it or initiated and accepted into it and able to learn about it and practice it properly, I should say. So Native American religions are not the only closed ones out there. There are plenty more, but it's just a really good example, and it's where the term smudging comes from. Now, smudging is a ritual that I'm not even gonna pretend that I know what it is or how it's properly done, because I'm not Native American. I've never been taught these practices. So I just adamantly refuse to use the word smudging in that regard. You will see it all over the place on the internet, but just be aware, cleansing and smudging are actually different, and smudging is a ritual that I can't even really elaborate on it because I don't know enough about it. But I do respect the Native American practice of it enough to not use that specific term. Now, on top of that, the two most popular things for smoke cleansing are, of course, white sage and Palo Santo. And yes, maybe I'm coming across as a hypocrite because this right here is a bundle of white sage. I'm not gonna try to defend that I have this, other than the fact that I purchased it at a farmer's market from somebody who said that they grow it themselves. I don't know if that's true, so technically I was not buying this ethically. Now, on top of that, I bought it before I realized that it was problematic to use. I still have it and I still use it only because I mean, I did spend money on it. Like, I feel like it would be worse to just like throw it away. So, but I mean, look at that. And I've had this for like 3 years now. I use it very seldomly, and again, I don't use it for smudging. Now, the reason this is problematic is because white sage, well, first of all, it is notoriously difficult to grow on your own. And naturally occurring white sage and the Palo Santo tree are both endangered plants. So environmentally, it's just not a good idea to use these, just like I wouldn't eat the meat of an endangered animal. Plus, because they are endangered, Native people have asked us, please don't buy these things. And I urge you to please help not to waste and in fact protect these resources that are precious and also sacred to these closed communities. Now, if you are absolutely stuck in your ways and you must use Palo Santo or white sage, please, please, please just make sure you're getting it from an ethical source. You also want to make sure that they're producing it in a way that is sustainable. Okay, tangent is done. There are so many other options, which I'm gonna give you right now. Okay, so what can you use instead of Palo Santo or white sage? Pretty much any herb that can burn safely and the smoke, the fumes aren't going to be hazardous. Some great alternatives are going to be lavender, rosemary, thyme, mint, pine, cedarwood, and I know a few people who use a little marijuana smoke. These are all things you can go out and easily buy. Or of course, many of them you can grow on your own and just, hang them, dry them, bundle them up. It's really not that hard to do. And you can also order lavender bundles. Like if you're like, I don't want to do all that, you can just order a bundle of these things. If you like smoke cleansing, but you're not a big fan of like the smell of the burning actual plant, you can also try incense resins. My two favorites are dragon's blood and frankincense. So smoke cleansing is one of the most popular and most talked about forms, but here are other ones that if maybe you have asthma, you have kids or pets in the house that are sensitive to smoke, or maybe you live in a place where you can't burn anything, here are some other options, starting with my favorite one, which is sound cleansing. Sound cleansing is wonderful to clear out negative energy, invite good energy in, and raise vibrations overall. I all the time just use a bell. I have a silver bell that I use all the time for this sort of thing. It sounds really nice and it works really well. You can also use Tibetan singing bowls. Look up how those are properly used. Do the thing where you put water in like a crystal wine glass and then you like dip your finger in and then I can't do it, but it's in Miss Congeniality. It's her talent show talent. You can even go here on YouTube or to Spotify and just look up, vibration raising music, negative energy banishing songs, whatever. You can also mix together your own cleansing spray, and these can smell absolutely great. You just take a bit of water. Moon water, in my opinion, works best, but I mean, you do you. You can use rainwater, new moon water. You can also just take regular water and use that. That's totally fine. And add a bit of essential oils. You can also even add crystals into the bottle. Just make sure two things. You're using one that's like maybe not your favorite, because it is possible it can crack in there. And also, if you're going to put a crystal in there, don't use a glass bottle, because you don't want to crack the bottle on top of it, because you're going to want to shake it up every time you use it, make sure things get mixed around. Also, make sure it is not water soluble. You don't want your crystal to, or maybe you do. Actually, that'd be kind of cool. Now I'm kind of rethinking that, because I was like, well, you don't want your crystal to dissolve in there, but I'm like, wouldn't that actually be kind of powerful? It's up to you. Do what you want. Now you can do a mix of essential oils. Just make sure to do a tester batch, because sometimes when you mix a few of them together, they're like, but lavender, thyme, rose, and lemongrass are all really good options for this sort of spray. And you don't just have to use it around the house. Like, you can have like one stashed in your car. You can also spray it on yourself. They're great for that as well. Now, this is also going back to burning things. So if you can't burn things, I recommend either sound cleansing or using the spray, but you can also use candle magic. And you don't even need like a big old 7-day candle. You can use a tea light for this. I do recommend using one in each room, but if you have like a small place or like a studio apartment where you just need to do the studio and the kitchenette and like the bathroom, you can use one. So take a white tea light candle, and when you light it, you can, and you can also sprinkle these with a bit of rosemary and pepper, because rosemary is going to bless your space and pepper is gonna like, just like, especially like cayenne pepper, something like that is just gonna like boot that shit out. What you're visualizing with this one is that the power of the candle, just imagine that positive energy radiating out from it. Again, always using visualization and intentions, and it is pushing all of the negative energy out of it, or away from it, I should say. out of your house. Or you could do the reverse and use a black candle, and if you don't have a black tea light candle, because they're you can usually find them around Halloween time, but not always, just take a white tea light candle and like color it in with Sharpie. Sprinkle that one with ground ginger, light it, and then imagine everything getting sucked into it. So that black candle, that flame is going to attract all of the negative energy into it as opposed to the white candle, which pushed everything out. And then you can, kind of say a blessing with either one of these. So like with the black candle, you would actually visualize and say that when this candle extinguishes, all of the negative energy drawn to it extinguishes as well. And then just make sure you let those candles burn until they go out on their own. Just let them burn completely all the way down and then just throw them away afterward. Because remember, energy never actually dies. So with that black candle, we say it extinguishes with it, but energy doesn't actually die. So I like to think of it as like now it's imprisoned in that like burnt down wick, those last little bits of wax that are in there. So you want to just throw it out afterward. Okay, so now how do you protect your home to avoid unwanted negative energy from coming in to begin with? Well, I've got a few options for you. And of course, keep in mind that just because you use these doesn't mean that you shouldn't do a cleanse every now and again. Just make a habit. This is all maintenance stuff. So same as with the cleansing, you want to do everything with intention, with purpose, and with visualization. Anytime you do one of these actions or you set one of these things out, you want to picture it helping to form a barrier around your home or around your space, or blocking off a wall or an entryway. Whatever it looks like to you. It could be like Glinda's bubble, or it could be building an electrified fence. Just always make sure to do it with purpose and with intention, and find a little something to say. It doesn't have to be a specific spell. It doesn't have to rhyme. You don't have to find it on the internet. Just speak from the heart. I place this item here in order to keep myself, my place of living, and any of my welcomed visitors safe from harm, block anyone or anything that may cause myself, my space, or my people any ill will, and harvest positivity in this place. As I will it, so shall it be. Something like that, and that was just kind of off the cuff. It doesn't have to be anything crazy or fancy. Just say it aloud to fill the item with it, to fill the room with it, and to send it out to the universe. Okay, so good ways to protect your home, keep the good energy in and the bad energy out as much as possible. Let's start with crystals. Rose quartz is great for keeping good energy alive and well and stimulated in your home. And it does wonders in the bedroom, if you know what I'm saying. Rose quartz helps to harvest love of all kinds, not just romantic or sexual, and of course emotional warmth. Black tourmaline is great for warding off negativity. It does wonders when it's put like by a doorway, especially like right on top of the door frame. Selenite is actually a really great tool, because selenite is a cleanser. So it is actually going to be kind of constantly like cleansing any space that it's in. It's really great to keep on your altar for that purpose. Just make sure if you're using selenite not to leave it, like don't put it in the garden, don't put it by the kitchen sink or the bathroom sink where it might get splashed on, because it is going to dissolve in water. And my favorite is amethyst for protection and also for peace. Next up, we've got everyone's favorite, which is salt. Salt is going to keep bad shit out. So of course, the best way to utilize this is to like sprinkle it around the whole perimeter of your property, sprinkle it in doorways, but this isn't always practical. Like to just maintain a line of salt at your door threshold. It's gonna get stepped in, it's gonna get tracked around. Your dog might eat it. I know mine would. But what you can do is sprinkle it into like on your windowsill. It doesn't need to be this huge thick layer. And also put it underneath your entry doormat. If you have a full, yard, if you're in a house with a full yard, you can, bury it below the ground. Just be aware of where you're planting things. You can also mix it with potpourri, so it's not just like salt. Because I know if I just had like lines of salt laying all around my house, my mom would come over and she would be like, What is this? What is this? Didn't I teach you how to clean? So you can find sneaky little ways to, get salt around the perimeter of your home or in any openings, entrances to your home, doors, windows, etc., without it being a full-on salt circle. You could also get a pink Himalayan salt lamp. They work great and they're really pretty. Start growing some plants in your home and yard. Now, any plant in general is typically going to be very good at this, because think about what plants do. They bring in carbon dioxide and they let out oxygen. So if we use that as a form of sympathetic magic, they can be sucking in the bad energy, feeding on it, and converting it into good energy. But if you want to get a little bit more specific, Rose of Jericho is wonderful for this. I actually have a whole video on it. Or is it over here? I never remember. I think it's over here. You can also put a little bit of the dry clippings of Rose of Jericho above your doors. Basil, rosemary, and garlic are all wonderful for protection. Cacti are also great for warding off, as well as anything that has spines or thorns on it, like rose bushes. Another thing is consider different forms of imagery. So the ancient Greeks used eyes to protect and ward off evil. The ancient Romans used humorous images in order to incite laughter, which personally I love that, because I do look at laughter as a form of sound cleansing and raising vibrations and inviting in good energy. And of course, grotesque faces. That is a classic one. Just look at gargoyles or the original reasons that we made jack-o'-lanterns. Just make sure it is something that is symbolic for you. Like, you don't want to use something that's like gonna make you feel disgusted, or like, you wake up in the middle of the night to pee and you're just like, ugh, when you see it in the dark. You can also have statues or pictures of your chosen god or goddess. I also just like to have pentagrams and pentacles around the house. Those are an excellent form of protection. Make yourself a sigil for protection. Again, I have another video on how to make your own sigils, and this is great because you can put it anywhere. You could go so far as to like paint it on a giant freaking canvas and hang it in your living room. Or if you want to be like a little more discreet, you could always just dip your finger in some water and draw it on the back of your the door of your main entrance. Technically, you don't even need the water to do that. You could just use your finger and just make sure you're drawing it with intention. Similar to the salt, you can also do lines of holy water. Now, what holy water means specifically is entirely up to you. It could be water that's blessed by a priest. It could be moon, rain, or sun water that you've put herbs and crystals in, maybe a mix of all of the above. It could be one that you've prayed over to your god and goddess, asking them to bless it. It really is whatever holy means to you. So that's another one. You can sprinkle it on your thresholds, sprinkle it on your windowsills, dribble it all around your property. That sigil I mentioned earlier that you can draw on the door, dipping your finger in water and drawing it on there, do that with the holy water. Try as much as possible to get fresh air consistently in your home. I know that's not always a possibility, but as much as you can. And of course, sunlight. Sunlight is going to consistently and constantly help bless your home and keep it, nice and cleansed. And on full moons, keep those curtains wide open. Just supercharge that space. The final one, and everybody's favorite, is the witch's bottle. A classic. What you're gonna do here is take a glass bottle. You're going to fill it with sharp objects, broken glass, pins, nails, sewing needles, and if they're rusty, even better. Add some salt, add some rosemary, and then you're gonna do one of two things, or you can do both. Some people fill it all the way to the top with vinegar, and most people traditionally fill it with their own urine. The reason for this is because it's acidic, and also urine is a tag lock. So that's really personalizing the bottle to you, to protect you specifically. After that, seal it up. Make sure to double seal it by dripping candle wax on it. Personally, I like to use a black candle for that. And then you're going to bury it as close to your front door as possible, about a foot down. That way it remains undisturbed and hidden, and you don't the dog doesn't accidentally dig it up, hopefully. Now, if you're like me and you live on a second-story apartment and that's not really an option, that's okay. You just need to put it somewhere in your home where it's going to be undisturbed and out of sight. So basically just hide it, and then just leave it. The witch's bottle is a great little set it and forget it type of spell. And that is everything that I've got for you today. I would love to hear all of your takes on this. What do you do to keep your house cleansed? And what do you do to keep it protected? Please leave those in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up so I know that you liked it and I know to create more content similar to this one. As always, I am only a message away, so you can hit me up on Instagram, follow me on Instagram, or shoot me an email if you have questions, comments, complaints, or if you have a suggestion of something that you would like to see in an upcoming video. All right, go grab your vinegar, grab your rosemary, let's go get cleaning.